Hi everyone, welcome to episode 29 of YarnAdelaide Knits, a knitting fibre related podcast. Coming to you from the northeastern suburbs of Adelaide in South Australia, Australia. My name's Nicole and I'll be your host today. You can also find me as KAL Girl on Ravelry, KALGirl74 on Instagram, and Twitter, and where else? I also have a Etsy store called KAL Girl Collective and a Facebook group for KAL Girl Collective. There is a YarnAdelaide Knits podcast group on Ravelry as well. I think that's about it. At the end of the podcast and the credits, they'll be everywhere where you can find me. Anyway, it's a nice, sunny, but cool Thursday, early afternoon. I think it's just after lunch because the bell for the primary school that my middle child goes to has just gone. It's early afternoon, just gone. It's 1:10. What else do I have to say? Yeah, nice sort of late autumn, wintry day. The sun's out, so the clothesline behind the camera is chock-a-block full of clothes because the sun's out. I've got a few things to show you today, and I've got the winners of the Aussie knit-along that finished at the end of April. So I've got some winners to talk to you about there. Some works in progress, some finished objects, a little bit of podcast love, and bit of a shop update on what's going in the shop. So let's start by drawing for the winners, which I've already done, for the Aussie knit-along. I have two prizes, one in the chatter thread and one in the finished objects thread. So I had this yarn from Hannah that was gorgeously donated, which is a double knit superwash in the Lara colourway, and some stitch markers. I've got some nice red stitch markers, would go nicely with that, for the finished objects thread. And the winner of that one is Darrawul, which is Margaret, which I will see at her Knitters Guild on Saturday, hopefully. So I will wrap up that present for her, and yeah, and hopefully she I can't wait to see what she does with it. And yeah, that was post number 24. It was a pair of socks, if I remember correctly. So yeah, it's great that one of my watches of course, watches from the start, has won. And the other one for the chatter thread is Rosie with thread number 13, which was coincidentally a picture of the Aldinga drop-off lace weight yarn that she bought for me, that she was casting on to make a shawl with. But I'm not sure whether, I can't remember whether I saw it finished or whether she got to finish it. But anyway, so Rosie has one of my new little notions pouches, or I think they are big enough to fit your sock length double pointed needles too, and a pack of stitch markers as well in the pink and gold colour. So yeah, congratulations guys, both Adelaide winners. We need some more interstaters and international viewers and participants to join in and win. So yeah, that's the Aussie knit-along finished. Hopefully we'll do it again next year with all the other participants from the other podcast groups. Thanks everybody who participated, much appreciated, and thanks for all the other hosts as well. Yeah, hopefully next year we'll make it bigger and better. Alrighty, let's let's go into my FOs, because I have a bit of an update, sort of going into two things. My finished objects. I have been madly knitting. If you remember in the last podcast, I showed you a design that a beanie design that I was doing. So because it's been about 3 weeks since our last podcast. I think with school holidays, it just wasn't working out that I could get a couple of hours spare to record a podcast without coming into so many roadblocks with the kids and uninterrupted and some quiet. So now everything's back to normal and they're all back at school, and Scarlett's in occasional care this afternoon. Yeah, that's something that, I could finish. So finishing podcast again. So if you remember, I started knitting this beanie, which I had designed myself, and this is it finished. This is the one that I showed you last time. While I was sort of figuring it out as I was knitting it, I didn't use my own yarn because I wanted to. My initial inspiration to make this was to use my Outback DK 8-ply sustainable superfine merino. So I finished off this one. This yarn wasn't labelled, but I think it was about an 8-ply. But coincidentally, it works out a lot smaller than the one that I finished in my yarn. Which, so it's a slouchy beanie with 2 different size cable patterns, cable twists throughout, with a nice twisted rib border and the optional pom-pom. So this is out with, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people testing it, which has been great. And then I hadn't named it, but then one of my test knitters / friend is over in New Zealand, and it was around Anzac Day where I was getting all the test knitters together, and I think it was on Anzac Day, so it was, I guess, a day of reflection and what have you. And my friend from New Zealand said that she'd love to test knit, so it kind of inspired me to name it Across the Ditch. Being that, Anzac Day was a day of reflection, so I could envisage these beanies being put into care packages for men and women in the Defence Forces over, I guess, what's the word called, where they have been posted elsewhere away from their families. So that was kind of my inspiration when finding a name for it. Thought this would be something cuddly from home that they would, be able to put on and know it was made with love and thought into them. Being that it's a unisex beanie, it can either be made into a slouchy, or you can not do one of the repeats and make it a little bit shorter so it's more fitted beanie size. So I'm putting it on. I'm not a very good beanie wearer. I like to wear them, but I feel very silly when I wear it. So I love the pom-pom. I initially when I made this one, it was with a much smaller one, and it didn't look quite right. It fits all right for this one because it's a smaller, the tension in this one is a little bit smaller than this one. So but I made the bigger one, and I was quite happy with the bigger size. Let me take it off. So I'm really happy. I've since made, this was the first one, this was the second one. When did I go? I made testing it again and making sure I got all the row counts right, and the number of stitches, when the decrease is all correct and what have you. And that's the third one I made in a navy blue. That one is with the shorter repeat, so it's a bit more fitted. Then I did this one without the beanie. This one is done in Inca Light, Peyton's Inca Light A-ply, and that's done in the full size without a beanie, because the Inca 8-ply, being that my yarn has 233 metres per 100 gram skein, so it gives you plenty of room, well, plenty of yarn left over to make a pom-pom, where the Inca Light, which is a Peyton's 8-ply, only has about, per 50 gram ball, only has about, I think it's 94 metres per 50 gram ball, so it doesn't quite leave enough to make a pom-pom. So yeah, hence why this one doesn't have a pom-pom. But this one, I think this was a New Zealand yarn that I had in my stash that had a couple of balls left over. I actually think this is a 10-ply too, so yeah, which is a little bit more tighter gauge, but I think it still does the job. You can't really see it because it's so dark, but I did make Silas a jumper in this yarn, which was a cable jumper as well. So yeah, and I had a couple of balls left over, so I made that one. And then I did this one as well. This one is done in Lion brand Wool Ease, which I think it's Wool Ease. Yeah, it is Wool Ease, because it is an acrylic wool blend. And again, I didn't do the full amount of repeats in that one. But I think I only finished this one last night, so I was making the pom-pom this morning, and I think I've just got enough, just about had enough to do the pom-pom, but I haven't attached it yet. So yeah, so what did I do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I've got a couple more. I did do another beanie, but the extra ones will be sent off to Alice Springs for the Beanie Festival, which I've just about got my quota all done to send off there, because I already had a couple made up. So this will be finished at Testers tomorrow, so hopefully, with any luck, over the weekend I will have it written up and published by next week. Fingers crossed, if I can figure out how you publish it on Ravelry, sort of partially in the process of it, and take a few more photos to put it on the pattern page and what have you. So yeah, I'm really happy, and I'm really happy with the way my yarn and just the coziness of it and the simplicity of it. The reason why I've used the grey is that this colour will be in the next update, but a couple of the skeins that I dyed up, the dyes didn't dissolve properly before I dropped the yarn into the pot, so there are a couple of splodges on there, so that will be my husband's beanie or mine or the kids or whatever. So yeah, so that's why. But I'm happy that I've done the grey, because it does show off the cables quite nicely. And yeah, as I was saying, I was really happy with the way that my yarn is behaving with the style of the beanie. It's just nice and cozy and rustic and luscious and all in the one thing. So yeah, and just because the Outback is 100% merino, non-superwash, I tend to only dye them with one colour, because it doesn't absorb as well for speckling and multicolours and what have you. It gives that real tonal finish, which I really like, and it just adds more depth and intrigue to your finished product. So yeah, so that will be out. Across the Ditch will be out shortly, and hopefully you guys will love it too. One other thing that I did also with a finished object is just a plain slouchy beanie. When I make up do the beanies for the Beanie Festival in Alice Springs, it is a good chance to stash dive and get through a few of your oddballs that you've had left lying around that you want to finish off. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I've already got a couple made up, 5 of my 10 ready to send to Alice Springs. So they're coming, Eric, if you're watching. Let me have a sip of my coffee. Oh, just so you know too, I'm wearing my, so got some grass in it, Waiting for Rain shawl that I did last year with white gum wool and Madeline Tosh sock. So yeah, just as we all know, the Madeline Tosh yardage of the yarn didn't quite have enough to finish off the extra rows, but that's alright, still works. So another finished object that I did, but it's not blocked, and I was hoping that something happened to it and it's just been thrown in the corner, and I've kind of forgotten about it because I've been obsessed with making beanies, is that I did finish my fern shawl, brioche shawl by Shara Lambeth of the What Shara Made podcast. That's all finished. Why I'm a bit annoyed with it is that my daughter got to it and she pulled one of the strands, and yeah, I just was going to block it that day and sew in the ends, and it just didn't happen. So I kind of am having a tanty with it, like a childish adult. But I need to, and it's been cold as well. I know my washing and stuff is not drying during the day. It's gotten cold really quickly, so I have to sort of readjust all my washing and drying routine. So yeah, but I'm happy with the way it's finished. I just have to weave in another end, and you can sort of see that it's pulled a bit through there, but I will figure it out and make it look pretty again and sew in the ends. I'm not sure Shara has published the pattern yet. I haven't heard anything. She must be still finalising everything, and brioche must be hard to publish because it's not the easiest stitch to translate. Once you do it, it's easy, but it's not the easiest stitch to translate onto paper, if that makes sense. And I think that's what is the biggest problem with people being you either get people who love brioche or scared to try it, or yeah, get a bit overwhelmed with it. It's quite easy once you know what you're doing, but it's not forgiving if you drop a stitch or make a mistake. But it does give an awesome fabric, and if you love colour, it gives you that gateway to play with colour. So yeah, so I should get that blocking and wear it now that it's cold and that shawl wearing time. What else have I been doing? That finished object. Oh, other than all my beanies that I've been making, I don't really have anything. I haven't actually knitted a stitch this morning because I finished my last beanie last night. So I think I did a few rows of my granny stripe blanket with the mini skein set that I got from my last, what was that in? That was the wool swap. So I've just done, what is it? 1, 2, about half a dozen rows I think. But it is a 5-ply yarn, so up the side you can see that it's kind of kicked out a bit. But I don't think that will matter too much once I put a border around it and tidy it all up. But I do like how, because you do anything and everything, anything goes with it, you can have, and I did sort of want to do clusters of colour. So here was browns and sort of leading into reds, and then the pinks and the gradient of that. So kind of plan the colours that I want to use, but not necessarily the yarn, because if it doesn't make a whole row, it doesn't matter. It's more about getting rid of all the loose ends. And I'm doing the spit and splice method of joining the yarn, so I have no ends to sew in, which is great. But when you come to the end of your yarn and having to spit and splice, that's a bit tedious. So I kind of have to be. It is quite easy to do and therapeutic. And now that the weather's cooling down, I sort of had a bit of a binge on it and did a few rows, but then that's come to a standstill again. So I've been obsessed with other things. But it'll get done. I might even get my Cozy Memories out and finally finish that too, because that's almost finished as well, but it hasn't had much love for a few months now. I think that's pretty much it for my works in progress. Everything else, even the shawl that I'm designing, hasn't had any love because I've been focused on getting my beanie out. So I've got something accomplished. It's kind of, you feel overwhelmed with all the projects you have on the go, and you just want to get something done. And I find doing the podcast is good in that regard, is that you want to have something finished to show you guys. So yeah, it kind of keeps you on track. But yeah, and I do have a jumper that I've neglected for months that I'd like to get back going again. I just need more knitting hours in the day, I think. A holiday would be nice. Alright, what else have I got to show you? Oh, what I do plan on casting on this afternoon is probably a socket hat with the yarn that I got from Diana in the wool swap. Yeah. But there's only 70 grams there, so I'm hoping, and it's roughly more a sport weight, so I don't know whether I'm going to have enough. So maybe I might improvise for the brim and then just do this with the top of it. I'm not sure. That might need some more thought. Don't forget the Hand Knitters Guild is having their open day on the 20th of May. We have a few vendors being there, and there'll be a bit of a display because it coincides with Vintage History Week / History Month with the Unley Council. We do have a bit of a display, a historical display of bits and pieces, and I think the theme this year was something to do with the 80s. So a few of us would have been, or something, I can't remember, this is really bad. What was it? It's to do about, I think it's either to do with your childhood, and I'm thinking it's the 80s because that's when I was a child. So jumpers or knitted clothing that you would have worn in the 80s, or even something that you still have from the 80s. So members will have a display. I just wished I had my 2 fisherman's rib jumpers that I knitted for myself when I was about 14, 15. I did a nice real, I think it was a purple like this, did a purple, even a bit more intense purple, with the real, and it was done in acrylic, fisherman's rib jumper with a round neck, and because, you know, being an insecure 14-year-old, I came down to my knees and was, you know, very oversized, but I loved it. And then the following winter, and because I was only a seasonal knitter back then too, so just in the winter months, the following year I made myself a navy blue one in a V-neck version so I could wear it to school. Navy blue and yellow are my school colours, so that's why I tend to not wear a hell of a lot of navy. I'm still haunted by it, you know, 30 years later. Ridiculous. Yeah, I kind of wished I had those so I could put them on display. and it would be really good to see how my knitting techniques have progressed, because I know I would have done whip stitch to sew it up, and even to see how my neck bands would have gone. And I know the purple one that just had the round neck was folded over and sewn in, but even just the picking up the stitches to make it look nice and neat, that would have been interesting to see how I interpreted that you know, as a teenager. Yeah. So yeah, so all, what have we got? The vendors that will be there, we have Kathy's Fibres is going to be there, YarnAdelaide is going to be there, YarnArama will be there, myself, KAL Girl Collective will be there, Stranded in Oz is going to be there, and Ron West? Yeah, Ron West, from also known as Spinning Woody, with all his wood turning notions and utensils and stuff for drop spindles and darning mushrooms and wool winders and bits and pieces that he makes. He will be there as well, where he's a bit elusive with people being able to find out where he is and what have you, because he doesn't have really any online presence and stuff, but you have to know someone of someone. Although he gets over to Bendigo each year, so yeah, people can get their fix of him then. I know we've got a meeting this Saturday at the Guild as well. Now what was let me think. I'm just trying to think off the cuff what our workshop was going to be. Ah, that's right, Charmaine was going to have all her knitting, because YarnArama, or Charmaine from YarnArama, has, I think I've got a bit of fluff on my lip. Occupational hazard of wearing lip gloss. Charmaine was going to be there with all her knitting needles, being YarnArama sell half a dozen different brands of knitting needles. What do they do? They sell Addy, Knit Picks or Knit Pro, Chiagu, okay, Addy, Knit Picks, Chiagu, Higher, and the new Like brand. Who am I missing? Am I missing anybody, guys? So she'll have all her interchangeable sets and what have you, so people can see, feel and touch and figure out what style they like. Because there is a difference, especially with metal or nickel plated needles compared to wooden or bamboo. I like the wooden and bamboo, preferably because it just has that little bit of give and feels a bit more ergonomic in my hands. I do knit with the steel or the metal needles, but I do find them a bit more harder to hold in my hands and a bit more rougher in my hands. But people either, are either one or the other, or can adapt. I find a lot of the time I can adapt, and yeah. A little bit of podcast love. There's a couple of new podcasts that I have been watching. And one was a recommendation from Rose, also known as Rosewin, on Ravelry, because I had started spinning, which I haven't done any for a little while now, which I would like to get back to doing, because I've got a few braids that I need to spin up. I have started watching Woolen Spinning, by Rachel Smith. I think she's from America, and it's a mostly spinning podcast, which is quite interesting, and she talks a lot about fibres and different techniques of spinning and that sort of thing, so she's quite well educated in that regard, so I find it quite informative and interesting to know. I think she belongs to her local spinning guild, so yeah. And I've always wanted to learn to make soap, and I do want to make soap so I can make a wool wash soap to sell in my Etsy shop. So I've started watching Soap Queen and just getting a bit of idea on what I need to do, and trying to find, I'm not 100% sure whether there's normal soap or is it a lanolin based soap that is used for a wool soap. So I need to further research that and figure out what I need to do with that. So yeah, I've been watching those, and just another and it's always been something that making soap is not a cheap venture, and it's not, you know, people say that they find it hard to find knitting groups or where to buy yarn and what have you. Soap is even more elusive than finding where to buy yarn and knitting groups and that sort of thing. Yeah, because I'd love to learn to make it from somebody else, but most of what I can find with the style of soap making that I want to do, it's all online. So I sort of teach yourself off a video. So that will further progress down the road, I think. So yeah, that's about it to show you. So I just got a little bit of a shop update to show you on some of it's already gone into the shop, and some of it I just haven't got there yet. Haven't found the time to upload. Most of the photos have been taken. I just need to upload it, which is tedious if you know what I'm talking about. So, and I didn't bring everything here. I've got a few bags that have gone in. Like this one. So one of the small size bags. I've got a bigger one in this material, and it's got the yellow flowers on the inside. I've got a little progress keeper that I put on all my bags. That one's got a turtle on it. That's the small size, and then I've got a medium. Yep, this is a medium. A medium one. It's got the dots on the inside. The purple zip. It's quite pretty, this material. And then if you're a cat lover, I'm not sure what these ones I've had made up for a while, but I'm not sure whether I have shown you guys, but the cat photos have been taken of the cat one. It's got a Hello Kitty progress keeper on the zip, and it's got the dots on the inside. That's in the medium size as well. And I think the sheep I've showed you the sheep before, but that's the sheep. And it's got a contrast colour down the bottom, and what's on the inside is zigzags. So there's some small and medium project bags to go in there. And then I finally made up some notions pouches. I've got a couple of different sizes. I did start up making one size and then I just streamlined it to cutting on my cutting board. So I measured it out and yeah, so got this one. It's got My Little Pony and some sort of pink paisley, kind of looks like paisley patterns with some purple flowers on the inside. With the yellow zip. And then the horses. And the brown and navy pattern on the other side. With more mauve flowers on the inside with the blue zip. That's in the smaller size. Oh, hang on, I've got this one as well. The orange flower. And the orange little stick drawings on the inside. The black zip, that one's got a handle as well. Some I make with handles, some I make without. It's sort of a bit of a, is what it is. And then this is the bigger size. Still, I think, still the same length, so still about 9 inches, which is, what did I measure it at? I think they're 20 centimetres by 10 centimetres, if I remember correctly. And then that's got the pink flowers on the inside. So yeah, those are just some of the ones that are going into the shop of the bags. And I've got a bit of a yarn update, a little bit of lace as well of my 8-ply. So, got this one. This one I dyed with one colour and then over dyed it with another colour. But being, you can see sort of a contrast, a little bit of variation of like a muddy brown over the grey. With, and yes, I dyed these around Anzac Day as well, and they very much remind me, my father was in the Navy, and I've got cousins, one got out a few years ago now, and one is still in the Navy, and their father was in the Navy, and my mum was in the Navy up until she had me. So yeah, so I've got, I'm a Defence Force brat. My sister married a guy, her husband was in the army, so yeah, so I'm thinking, because, and then I wanted to dye up, I guess they are unisex colours, but more masculine colours, so I ended up coming up with these two. And this one, the grey brown, very much reminds me of the, I'm not sure whether it was like a uniform, a grey uniform that my old man used to work in when he was in the Navy. And I think the Air Force have that kind of grey as well. So it might have some kind of naval Defence Force name. And then the same with this one. This one is talking to me and telling me it's going to be called Commando. And that is, what did I do with that? So yeah, so you can see a slight tonal variation with it. So it's got some darker toning, which I really like. I like the depth that has come out with the darker green. So it doesn't get too olive, it's kind of more khaki. And then it's got the darker tones in there. A jumper in this would be really nice. Maybe one of Michelle Wang's capsule, her, it's not Ragnar, or it sounds like Ragnar, I can't remember. Her cardigan in that would be really nice. there's those two, and that's in the Outback 8 ply, the 100% sustainable merino. And then, so is this one? There's these. That's what is it? It's Marshadow. So I've already got this colour dyed up on the 4 ply in the little Outback, and so it's a tonal dark charcoal grey. So there's 3 skeins of that one as well. And then there's the other 2 skeins of my beanie. One of these is one of them, the colour is alright, but the other one, it didn't dissolve properly, so it's got red dots in it like my beanie. So there'll only be one in the shop update of not Bambi Thumper. So it's just the light grey, the tonal light grey. And then I dyed up some of the, what's she called? It's Tilly, which is the 8 ply merino silk. But I haven't named this colour yet. It's quite an electric, bright blue. And I think I might knit up a beanie in my Tilly yarn as well. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not sure whether I just want to promote it with one of my yarns or with both of my 8 ply yarns. I don't know whether I want to, yeah. I'm not 100% sure because I really like how that my beanie has knitted up in this yarn. But then because of the silk and the sheen and the bit more slick luster of the Tilly, I'm torn. So I'm not, and this is yet to be named as well. And then I dyed up a couple of skeins of in the Matilda lace in Ordinga Drop Off, but only one of them is a 100-gram skein. The other one I had a fight with rewinding it and I got a big fat mess, and so it's not a full skein, and I think it's that one, so that will be priced accordingly. But one is a full skein, but you get 800 meters to a full 100-gram skein of this, so I'm not 100% sure. I think this is at least 70 grams. So yeah, so they are yet to go into the shop. Photos have been taken. There's some winter 8 ply colours, so those neutral tones without being too out there, to make for a beanie, to make for a hat. So in saying that, I think that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. Yeah, it's, oh, what's that time mean? Hearing another bell go, but I don't think it's the school because it's only almost 2 o'clock. So yeah, on that note, I should get going and get this uploaded onto the computer. The neighbours have just got home, so before they get too rowdy, I'll go. So yeah, don't forget the open date if you can make it on the 20th of May. And then the following week, the Adelaide Hills Spinners and Weavers have their open day on the 28th at the, Rose did tell me, it's, was it Valhalla? No. Oh, I can't remember. My brain is so fried. Now, where did I say it was? Let's see if I can find it. I can't find it. It's escaping me. I might write it up as when I edit of where it is and when it is. So yeah. Alright, I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching. Be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe. That would be wonderful. And join into the chatter on the Ravelry group. I'll talk to you later, guys. Thanks for watching. See ya.